Spaceballs is my favorite movie of all time, so I think it's fair to say I love parody. On the other hand, Meet the Spartans is my least favorite movie of all time. So what's the difference? Hello Internet, I'm called Matt, and today we're talking about something near and dear to my heart. Perhaps even nearer and dearer than film itself. It's films that make fun of other films. Parody movies. The most wonderful genre of film I can think of. But one that's come under a lot of fire thanks to recent bombs. These are films that have been objectively called the worst movie of all time. So what's the first step in improving the genre? Get rid of Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. We've managed to relegate them to straight-to-video, but even that's too good for them. I don't want them making movies, I don't want them helping with movies, I don't want them in the same city as film production.
You lost all your LA privileges.
As for the rest of you half-assed Mel Brookses out there, let's talk about what separates good parody from bad parody. Or rather, what separates good parody from mediocre parody from bad parody. What makes something like Spaceballs funnier than Scary Movie 3? And what makes Scary Movie 3 funnier than Epic Movie? The answer is satire. Take the opening scene of Spaceballs, where the ship flies by for a solid 3 minutes. Sure, on the surface it seems funny just for being excessive, but upon closer inspection, it's far smarter than it seems. The ship going by forever is a satire of overly long establishing shots of spaceships from movies like Star Wars, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And yes, Spaceballs has some dumber jokes. A huge chunk of the film is just dick jokes. But it's a film that can balance satirizing Star Wars over-marketing with juvenile humor. Scary Movie 3 is comprised mostly of these juvenile throwaway jokes and is nowhere near as funny. But at least throwaway jokes are jokes. See, Scary Movie 3 is more spoof than satire, simply taking a familiar scene and adding a joke to it. But it works over, say, Epic Movie, because it at least turns these references into jokes. The jokes in Epic Movie tend to either be unfunny sex jokes, or just references. Hey look, Shrek is a thing. We put it in our movie. Get it? 'Cause it's Shrek. That's the whole joke. Nothing specific about Shrek, just that it's a movie that exists. And hey, at least Shrek was a popular movie. Half the time these films didn't wait around to see what was going to last, just what was popular at that moment. And as a result, these films are dated instantly. Spaceballs came out 10 years after Star Wars. Star Wars is standing the test of time, and as a result, Spaceballs is as well. Heck, an earlier Mel Brooks endeavor, Young Frankenstein, came out something like 30 years after the original. That movie was already a classic that people could relate to, and so Young Frankenstein is standing the test of time as well. Which leads us to the most important ingredient in parody. Love. Well, yes. That's probably why I love parody so much. It's the one genre that loves movies as much as I do. Mel Brooks loved westerns and Frankenstein and, well, movies. He got what made these movies so iconic, what made them classics, and what elements he could spoof to get a universal reaction. Friedberg and Seltzer clearly don't understand these things, and as a result, we get lackluster, obvious comedies. And so we must address the question that is on everyone's mind. Is parody dead? Because it was huge in the late 70s and through the 80s. But as the 90s went on, it became less funny. Films were getting boiled down to their most superficial elements. Slapstick, pop culture references, sex jokes, Leslie Nielsen. So really, Friedberg and Seltzer were the next logical step towards the end of the era. But lucky us, someone learned to preserve parody. The attention spans of the masses have gotten shorter, and the fact that no parody movies were being very funny certainly wasn't helping. But it's clear in our modern day, you can no longer make a parody of a movie that was 10 years old. Heck, you probably couldn't even get away with a 3-year-old movie. But in 1996, we got the dawn of subtle parody with Scream. It led to a long generation, including Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy, and perhaps my favorite, Cabin in the Woods. These are films that took entire genres, like slasher movies or action films, and wove satire into their stories. And this is undoubtedly the way parody should be in our modern age. Sure, the over-the-top stuff we got in the 80s was great, and every now and then someone can recapture that. But it's next to impossible to emulate what these modern films have done without being smart, clever, and having a great affinity for the genre. Because not only are these movies a great deal smarter in their parody, they can also stand alone as good movies, even without their satirical edge. So while the era of Mel Brooks and Monty Python may be over, rest assured, parody is alive and well. Although, it's not anywhere near any Friedberg and Seltzer movies. Anyways, I'm Matt. I hope you all have a wonderful week. See you next time. Oh man, I needed that off my chest. Well, parody movies. The one topic I've wanted to cover for as long as I can remember on this show. Anyways, tell me what you liked and what you didn't like. Leave your suggestions in the comments. And, be sure to share this with all your friends, especially your friends who are Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. Jackasses. I hope you all have a lovely week. See you next time. In case you couldn't figure it out, I don't own a DVD copy of Meet the Spartans.